tell you something? What do you know about Wakanda?
2018 and 2022 blockbuster Black Panther, the fictional African country Wakanda, endowed with a rare resource called vibranium and its quest to save it from the outside world. We saw how the Black Panther defended Wakanda over and over again. But little did we know that deep in the heart of Africa was a nation blessed with a special resource just like Wakanda's vibranium. But this country has no Black Panther, no advanced technology, or no hidden cyber shield. This country is DR Congo. When we think of Congo, what usually comes to mind is the river Congo, the rumba of Fally Ipupa's music,
Original.
or the Congo Basin rainforest. But surely what may not have crossed your mind is that Congo, just like Wakanda, is the wealthiest country in the world in terms of mineral resources. To put the scale in perspective, half of the world's supply of this rare mineral is under this nation's soil. Congo is so rich that it supplied the uranium that was used to make the first atomic bomb. Diamonds, gold, copper, tin, lithium, name it all. And the closest thing to vibranium, cobalt, are found in the largest amount in the central and eastern regions of Congo. So for a country whose mineral resources are valued at a gross GDP of $24 trillion, the real reason why it does not have those super planes and the military might would absolutely shock you. Like every blockbuster movie, there is always a conflict. A harmonious nation living in peace, a villain trying to destroy it, and a hero who always saves it. But this story racks up more than the usual amount of villains. If you've watched this far, kindly hit the like and subscribe button. Congo has always had it tough, as far back as 1480, when it was still known as the Congo Kingdom, and was in the slave trade business with the Portuguese. Not only the Portuguese just suddenly began to abduct everyone, it took a protest by King Afonso I of Congo to the Portuguese King João III in 1526 to have this stopped. Slavery continued as normal, and everything was reasonably fine for another 400 years, until 1884. The Berlin Convention, a conference where 14 European countries came together to haggle over territorial control of Africa and its resources. And in the end, they divided Africa into 50 different countries. But why is this relevant to our story? During the Berlin Convention, a certain Belgian king, Leopold II, by saying that he was going to end slavery, he was given control of Congo. But little did everyone in that room know that his man had other plans in mind. Rather than ending slavery, Leopold did the exact opposite. He was able to exert his might and control on the Congolese people with a force strength of over 19,000 troops known as the Force Publique, mostly made up of orphans, foreigners, and a group of cannibalistic mercenaries. From ivory to oil to rubber plantations, the Force Publique unleashed untold tyranny on the Congolese people. If a Force Publique officer is given 10 bullets, he is expected to return with a chopped off hand for every bullet he fires. If a worker was rebellious, they were to be whipped. If a worker collapsed from exhaustion, they were to be shot dead. And all of this continued until things took an unexpected turn. At one of the shipping stations in Liverpool, a clerk, Edmund Mirror, he noticed from the shipping manifest that while a great number of rubber was being shipped in, only guns and weapons were being shipped back, and he raised an alarm on Leopold's corrupt operation. This raised a lot of scrutiny, with Leopold trying to cover up his tracks with bribery and even intimidation. However, the final nail in the coffin was in 1902 when the author Joseph Conrad visited Congo and wrote a book on his harrowing experience on the Black Holocaust that was taking place in the country. And with pressure mounting, the Belgian government had Leopold cede power in 1908. Sadly, during this time, over 10 million Congolese people had died, and Leopold on the other hand had made over $1.1 million. And with Leopold out of the picture, you would think the exploitation of the Congolese people would come to an end, but far from it. Not long after Leopold's banishment, the country's mineral deposits were discovered. And it seemed like for the people of Congo, everything went back to square one. Belgium simply changed the country's name to Belgian Congo, and for the next 50 years, the people were now forced to work in the mines. And in order to portray themselves as the good guy, Belgium went on to build elementary schools, roads, and even churches. But underneath all that was a total system of oppression milking this country dry. Until 1960, Africans in most parts of the continent began to revolt against colonial rules, and colonizers on the other hand, afraid of the uprising, began to hand over leadership to the locals, resulting in the independence of numerous African nations. It was at this time that Belgium put an abrupt end to its colonization of Congo, leaving a power vacuum. In the Marvel universe, this would have been a perfect time for the 5 tribes of Wakanda to come together and choose who their leader would be, right? But not in Congo. Even if they did get a Black Panther figure in the person of Patrice Lumumba, who set out to restore peace and unite a divided country. But this was short-lived, because only a few months later, internal mutiny, political unrest, coupled with the influence of the Belgian government, led to Prime Minister Patrice Lumumba's assassination. And from 1966 till 2007, the country has seen several military coups, dictatorships, and rebel uprisings. However, in 2014, in the southern part of the Democratic Republic of Congo, a man was digging a pit for his new toilet when he stumbled on a fascinating discovery. Do you remember cobalt, the rock we compared to vibranium earlier? Well, this man was trying to build a toilet for himself in his rented apartment. He had only dug 6 feet in the soil when he stumbled on raw cobalt in its purest form. He kept it to himself, and in the next few months he went into the business of mining and selling cobalt and making a fortune. By the time anyone found out, he had totaled the floor in his house and made $10,000. This became known as the Congo Cobalt Rush. People began digging their houses, their farms, and anywhere they could find land in search of cobalt. Cobalt is used in making rechargeable batteries that power our phones, our laptops, and even our electric cars. However, extended exposure to high amounts of raw cobalt can be extremely toxic. Not too long after, it was discovered that southern Congo sits on top of 3.4 million metric tons of cobalt, literally half of all the world's supply. Not only did hundreds of thousands of Congolese people move to the southern part of Congo, many industrial mines sprung up. The lure of mineral riches in a country as poor as Congo provides irresistible temptation for politicians and other leaders to steal and cheat. So the big tech giants who run these industrial firms will do their best to cut corners and make the most profit, while the people who work in these mines earn pennies a day. Sometimes children who work in these mines are drugged so they can work for longer without feeling hungry. Today, Congo suffers one of the world's largest displacement crises, with over 7 million people displaced in the crisis that have ensued. After Amnesty International reported unethical cobalt mining practices in 2016, tech giants Apple said they were committed to safe working environments and would no longer allow underage labor. But only a year later, Sky News found that Apple was still using cobalt mined by children in their devices. Apple stopped buying hand-mined cobalt temporarily, but started again immediately the news faded. The Chinese company Huayu, involved in unethical mining, still supplies Apple cobalt to this day. And in December 2019, a law firm in Washington, D.C. called International Rights Advocates sued Apple, Google, Dell, Microsoft, and Tesla. The lawsuit claimed that these companies are involved in the injuries and death of child minors. I guess it's safe to say what is happening in Congo today is quite reminiscent of what Wakanda would have looked like without a Black Panther. Or is Congo an alternate reality version of Wakanda? Whatever the answers might be, we can all agree that Black Panther makes us wonder. What if colonization never happened? Would African countries like Congo be better off, or would they have been worse if they were left by themselves without any European interference? Is there still hope for Congo? A world power waiting for the right heroes to be birthed? Or is this a downward spiral that would only get darker? Share your thoughts with me in the comment section.